What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Welcome to another episode of The Excellent Adventures. These are the excellent adventures of Mayakashi, and man, Mayakashi are getting so much better as an archetype. You guys know they came out in Hidden Summoners. They were not well received, mainly because even though they have a very kind of cool and flashy, I guess, playstyle where they can synchro summon like crazy, generally speaking, you can go all the way up into a level 12 synchro incredibly easily, or excuse me, a level 11. You're skipping a couple of levels each time you synchro summon, and it's all fine. You get beaters on field. The problem is these monsters are basically vanillas the first time you summon them on the field. They don't really do anything, and you have to work your way backwards through the ladder before you start activating their effects, and it kind of felt like it was just vanilla zombie beatdown. However, with this new card, Yuki Masame, that's going to be released in Dark Neostorm, this deck gets way better. So what she does, if you guys don't know, because I didn't do a dedicated video just to this card, but maybe I should have. She's a card that special summons herself if you control another Mayakashi monster face up on the field, and when she does that, she allows you to foolish burial any of your zombie monsters to the graveyard. Now, obviously, because of things like Unizombie, we know how ridiculously powerful that can be. That can get you Baller Drop to the grave, that can get you Mizuki to the graveyard, and, she does lock you in to just summoning Mayakashi monsters for the rest of the turn. But the thing is, that can activate from the graveyard or the hand, so you can activate her effect basically an unlimited amount of time. She doesn't have to be on the field to get that effect off. So he's going for the Hajun. That's going to be hit with the Ghost Ogre. That's going to be called by the grave, but he's going to chain impermanence, and this is where you're going to see basically he has to use the protocol here on the copy of Yuki, because if not, Yuki's not only going to put herself on the field, but then she could possibly send like a Baller Drawk or some other monster to the graveyard, and Altergeist would start losing control of the duel at that point. But again, even when she's in the graveyard, she is a viable option. That's what's really nice. So he's going to Manifestation to stop the attack and get the big monster on board. Battle Traps are sneaky good against Altergeist. I just want people to know that. It always has been, even back in the day. So Yuki's going to activate from the graveyard, which at this point is like, all right, there's the Baller Drawk. He's going to normal summon another Hajun. Now he can actually link summon, synchro summon as well, and now he doesn't have to face that problem because he does have the Mizuki in the graveyard. So now he can actually synchro summon and use these monsters effects from the graveyard, which wasn't always the easiest thing to do, but Yuki kind of sets you up. Even though she didn't set up the initial play to get Mizuki in the graveyard, I believe that was done with Foolish Burial, you can see the board is just so much better, and really she's just a threat your opponent has to answer. Like, your opponent cannot let Yuki go off, otherwise she can kind of spiral the duel out of control, and that's something that this archetype did not have. And all these duels are going to be against competitive builds. I wish these images would load. There we go. He obviously has the turn 1 multi-faker, pretty good, but ooh, gets impermanence, gonna tag it back out to resolve the effect off field, and gets a Conqueri. Yeah, I was probably thinking Sequidius. If you don't know, this is like Altergeist 101 basics. Now it means that Sequidius, if your opponent goes battle phase, you block an attack with Conqueri, you bounce their other monster on field, and then you bounce your Conqueri to potentially stop another attack. So you get to stop a bunch of attacks. He's gonna go for that rickshaw. Gonna get hit with Ghost Ogre, and oh my goodness, am I having a deja vu moment, or did that exact thing play out in the first duel? Kind of feel like it did. You know what? I believe Yuki might be a 1-for-1 target. I believe she might actually be a level 1 as well, which would make her even better because then you have a monster. Here's the play. Actually, it played out exactly. Well, he didn't use the bounce, but he's gonna use it on the link monster. So I guess all in all, it does actually kind of work out. And I would probably say Altergeist, especially with you having personal spoofing, you gotta be able to win this duel. Don't play Emu Elf. This card's always been bad, but generally, yeah, I don't know why he should have used personal spoofing, maybe tagged out for the Conqueri. Seems like it would have made a lot of sense, but whatever. He's doing his own thing. All right, so Yuki's going to hit the field. He's going to go back into the synchro summon. He baits out his opponent's Sequidius, but he does have that Baller Drawk. If that thing hits the field, it can take over the game. Doesn't have Zombie World out yet, but obviously that's an option. And there are some decks that play field spells where your Baller Drawk can summon off of your opponent's own field spells, so that is always something that your opponent has to worry about. He's now activating some of those Mayakashi synchro monster effects because they are being summoned from the graveyard, not being summoned from the extra deck, and he's able to actually pull off some OTKs. Don't forget that this chick has she has 1900 attack for a Link 2, which actually is not even that bad. I believe this duel is going to be against a Dark Warrior variant. I keep telling people that, Gumblar Dragon is not always the be-all, end-all when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes there are decks that, they get Gumblar'd and they're able to recover cards, or like Burning Abyss, where it's like, oh, you sent my Siren Graph to the graveyard? Thank you, sir. I think I'll just activate them both. I'll activate my Skarm and get a Tour Guide, or get, a Farf or an Alec or something like that. So you can see he's easily going to be able to pull off Gumblar, but who doesn't want their malicious, or who doesn't want their Mizuki in the graveyard? Like, you basically just helped him out. He's gonna Gumblar him twice, but he's got the Regeki, son. This is not gonna be good for you. Loses everything, sends Yuki to the graveyard. She special summons herself from the graveyard, drops another Mizuki, and I really feel like zombies have always been one of the scariest decks when they get double Mizukis, because it's like you always have to allot a card just for a Mizuki, which is a card they're activating from the graveyard. And then on top of that, it's like if they have Burial from a different dimension, then things get out of hand. Then, I mean, that's an OTK. Seriously, you Gumblar your opponent for 4 cards and get OTK'd in your next turn? Like, that's not supposed to fucking happen. Mayakashi are getting the job done, guys. We got another duel against Cyber Dragons. Again, these were all best out of 3s. I didn't upload the other duel with the Gumblar deck because it was just kind of a blowout. So I was like, it's really not all that, what's it called? You know what? Looking through these duels, I don't even know if he actually plays Zombie World, because I don't look through these decks before I actually show you guys the deck. Like when you see the deck, that's the first time I'm seeing the deck as well. But there might not be a Zombie World in this build, so don't be shocked if there is no Zombie World. What is this face down? It's a Battle Trap. It's Mirror Force. Mirror Force against Cyber Dragons. Don't know if it's all that good because of Cyber Dragon Infinity. It is going to be something they go for, but I guess if you got Ghost Ogre, it is, because your opponent's going to negate the Ghost Ogre. They walk right into the Battle Trap, and wow, that duel did not go the way that I thought. I mean, usually a monster in the extra monster zone is just death against Cyber Dragons because they just contact fuse. Also, being able to send Yuki to the graveyard with Unizombie, always pretty good. And okay, so he's gonna use Bottomless Trap. I was like, he has to be careful about this, because we've seen this guy OTK like twice already, and it's a very legitimate possibility that it can happen again. Well, you know what? I think we just saw another OTK. Mayakashi actually has, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm 800 damage off. I got a little too excited there. Maybe he can pull it back with the Cyber Dragon Astra, which I believe can summon, it can summon Nova from the graveyard. I've had this done to me where people will go Nova Infinity. However, he can just crash. Okay, he's going to contact Fuse in main phase too. All right, that was pretty smart. The problem is he does have a normal summon, and then he can just get Yuki from the graveyard. So I'm not really sure. Yuki can double Mizuki, and then he can just bring back one of his big synchros, get rid of the Fortress Dragon, and he should be able to attack very easily. Or excuse me, that wasn't Fortress. That was Mega Fleet Dragon. But you're seeing that Mayakashi are just, to me, not only are they much more of an explosive deck, but when you get Yuki in the graveyard the first time, she's like a looming, or she just looms over the entire duel. And a lot of decks in Yu-Gi-Oh right now don't have ways of actually getting monsters. Like, they have ways of dealing with monsters when they're summoned from the graveyard, like Malicious or something, but a lot of decks don't have ways of actually dealing with a card that activates in the graveyard. I mean, yeah, there's like Ghost Bell, but that's pretty much it. And Ghost Bell isn't exactly the most played hand trap in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Most people play like Ash Blossom and stuff like that. And again, she activates from the hand. There's the Call of the Haunted. For Mayakashi, I was never really that big of a fan of that card in particular, but it kind of works there. I mean, I'm not saying that like Call of the Haunted can't work in Mayakashi. Maybe it's a little better now that it, can discard, I guess. Well, I guess it could have always discarded a Mizuki, but I don't really feel like it's that good of a card. I would rather just honestly run something like Call of the Haunted. Cyber Dragons are, however, not out of this duel because he did top deck Power Bond, and Mayakashi aren't really known to have, they're not known for like tons of disruption. That's really just zombies in general. He has a 5600 attack Cyber Twin Dragon, and yeah, Cyber Dragons can pull off the OTK cheese in certain situations, especially if they're playing Power Bond or Limited Removal. Like, those are just cards they're known for. This time he has cherries, and I wonder if he wouldn't be crazy enough to be playing. I mean, maybe he could side in like a Cyber Dragon Nova in addition to the cherries, because I'm honestly wondering what you're gonna cherries against Cyber Dragons, and why you would even side cherries in if you're going first. It's just a really weird choice in my opinion. He does not use the Ash Blossom on the Cyber Dragon core. From what I've seen, a lot of people don't. Usually they try to save it because if your opponent has machine duplication, you kind of just get shreked. Is that Monster Reborn that he has set? It is a Monster Reborn. Interesting enough. Let's take like he's just going to go in the beatdown phase, but he's getting Mirror Force. However, that does give them the opportunity to try to work backwards down the ladder. We know that that's just how the archetype works. Oh my goodness, no, no. Did he actually has a Cyber Dragon Infinity in here? What? Oh my god, he actually has a Cyber Dragon Infinity. He must have sided that in. There's no way in hell he's just randomly playing a Cyber Dragon Infinity in his extra deck. That is impossible. Wow, okay, well, he takes away his opponent's Cyber Dragon Infinity. I think his opponent might realize the writing is on the wall at this point. He has probably enough damage considering he has Mizuki. There's enough damage to win the duel. Wow, that was so random, and it actually ends up, I mean, I'm not even sure if he would have been able to make Nova Infinity anyways, but that was just kind of spicy. Anyways, let's pause for one quick second and check out this Mayakashi deck. Okay, so this is what the deck looks like on paper. Most important card in the entire Mayakashi archetype, well, as far as like, putting it on field, is still Hajun. It's the card that when you normal summon it, special summons any Mayakashi monster except another copy of itself from your deck. So obviously it's kind of nice because it gets this chick and then she summons herself near infinitely from the deck. I think that, I would probably run a couple of Yukis because if you do draw the Mayakashi Return, which is kind of like Rhoda / Foolish Burial built into one card, you're probably going to want to search Hajun. So I think that like you want to be able to probably hard draw Yuki a decent amount of times. I mean, obviously you can Foolish Burial her and then you can summon her back of her own effect if you do happen to get Hajun. And the thing that's kind of cool with this deck is, even for instance, let's just say you normal summon Hajun, right? Let's just say that your opponent lets your Rhoda go through, because most people probably want to see what you're going to get. They want you to commit the normal summon before using the Ash Blossom. Even if you do get this card Ash, you still have her effect to not only put herself on board, but then also Foolish for another zombie monster, which can obviously be super good, especially if you happen to have Book of Life. You maybe summon that monster back if it's like a Unizombie or something like that, and then you can banish your opponent's Ash Blossom as they have a monster in the graveyard. So it's all pretty good. I don't know if Call of the Mummy is really necessary in here. I have seen Call of the Mummy, but in zombie decks, but generally right now, I think that it's more so used for like the pure zombie decks. Like I've seen some of those decks also run like card destruction because it can trigger like, or it can get the glow up boom and the Banshee like to the graveyard. But I think that those decks maybe need it a little more because they need their normal summon just a smidgen more. She can special summon herself from the deck. Trap lineup is a whole bunch of variety, everything from Mirror Force and Solemn Strike and Permanence, Evac Device. I still think Evac Device is a pretty good card. I know a lot of people disagree with me. Back to the front, I don't really like Mayakashi Metamorphosis. I mean, again, I know that it can summon from the Banished Zone, but it requires a discard. And in Zombie, sometimes the discard is good, sometimes it's not good. Because if you have Baller Drock or Mizuki, yeah, or maybe even Gozuki, you can afford to pitch those cards, Glow Up Boom, etc. But if you don't, I just kind of feel like back to the front might be better. But I don't know, maybe a 1-for-1 ratio is actually better. And yeah, there was no Cyber Dragon Infinity in the extra deck. It was actually, like, it had to be in the side deck. That's the only thing that makes sense. But hopefully you guys enjoyed those Mayakashi duels. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and check out these other videos I know you'll enjoy.